Pleased to have join us now the chairman of the Republican and Democratic parties, respectively, Bobby Shostak, chairman of the Republican Party, Lon Johnson, chairman of the Democratic Party in the state of Michigan. Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in. All right, let's get this started. Obviously, you're for the Republicans, you're for the Democrats. When all is said and done, let's take the primary first. All right, who's coming out on top?
Well, the Democrats are.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
Voters of Michigan are going to see 4 more years of great leadership and continuation of our comeback, and that's what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, what's going to set the stage here for November, in your opinion?
Obviously,
what is it you're looking for that, if it comes out the way you're hoping, you say, we're in good position to do battle with Lon Johnson and his contingency in November?
Well, look, we've had 4 great years with Governor Snyder and the legislature accomplishing huge reforms for the state. All Michigan citizens want to see that continue. And so as we continue to build, we have some guys that are termed out, we have some new people coming in, we got some wonderful candidates running tonight, and that'll really set the tone, I think, for 4 more years of great outcomes for our state. And that's what we're really excited about. And they're excited about getting in there and working with Governor Snyder and being part of this comeback. It's a great time in Michigan, and as a result, we have some really aggressive primaries going on with lots of folks in.
Lon Johnson, is this going to be all about Governor Snyder and his record?
Well, absolutely. You know, what this governor's doing just isn't working. You know, when this governor took over, we were at the 5th highest unemployment rate in the country. Today we're at the 3rd. We're 49th in growth prospect nationwide. It's just not working. And we're seeing it play out in the Republican primary right now. They're deeply divided. They had 2 sitting members of Congress being challenged. The Tea Party is coming on strong, and this is not something that the voters are going to see as a united front to move our state forward. Whereas the Democrats, we've got 2 great candidates. Gary Peters running for the United States Senate, and Mark Schauer ready to lead, and we're united, and we're going to create a state, show the voters how we're going to create a state where everyone can succeed.
And I find it fascinating when unemployment is down 6 full percentage points. We have 250,000 additional private sector jobs. We have population in Michigan growing. We have 3.5% personal income increasing in Michigan. Item after item, metric after metric, Michigan citizens are seeing improvements in their home life, in their quality of life, and in their state, and in their jobs, and in their future, and in their education. Every metric measurable, Michigan's moving forward from the lost decade of what we experienced.
All right, so then our most recent poll shows 49, I think it was 46, 43 Snyder over Schauer at this point. Why then, Bobby, wouldn't that gap be larger, understanding it's early on in the process?
And the gap has been closing up from when we polled in May the first time, and then we polled again in June.
Look, there's been polls that have showed him as high as 6 or 7 points, even 8 points up, and there have been polls showing it, as you say, 3 or 4 points. Governor Snyder's ahead. People are starting to pay attention. His approval ratings continue to rise. They're well into the mid-50s right now. As that people get themselves more engaged post this evening, you're going to see considerable width and breadth in his lead.
And Lon, counter to that, why is your candidate positioned well leading into November?
Well, the voters are paying attention, and you know, there's not one community in the state of Michigan that hasn't paid a price for this Republican governor and this legislature's inability or unwillingness to compromise. They couldn't fix our roads. We've seen $1 billion taken out of our education system. We've seen our pensions taxed. Teachers, are having to teach in classrooms that are overcrowded, and we've seen our labor rights, collective bargaining rights, stripped away. Those are deep transgressions.
You guys do the research on education, and you know from the time Governor Snyder took office, over $1 billion more has been spent on education since he took office, and it's the highest in the state's history, with additional $300 million more in the current budget package that was just passed. So where this billion cut comes from, nobody can make any math of that makes sense. But the reality is, you look at the numbers from where it was the day he took office, which is the time he took over for Granholm, to where it is today, it's over $1 billion more. This is just nonsense, this statistics.
Ask the parents who are having to pay extra money for extracurricular activities. Ask the parents whose kids are in crowded classrooms. Ask the teachers that are being let go. And we've got nearly a dozen school districts are nearly, are teetering on bankruptcy.
Bobby Shostak, talk just a second about that 11th congressional district race in which there is a bitter fight within the Republican Party there. You have an incumbent. Normally you don't challenge the incumbent in the primary. You just try to keep them strong so that they can do battle against the opposite party in November. But between Bentifolio and David Trott, you've got one heck of a battle going on
look,
there.
I wouldn't
call
call
say
it
about the party and the heart and soul of the party.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't call it a bitter fight within the party. It's not even close to that. What it is in the district, you had Kerry Bentifolio, when McCotter had his problems, step in and win that race because of, in a sense, almost by default. The voters have looked around. They wanted to see potentially somebody else, and a group of people got behind Dave Trott to run. But it's very hard to beat an incumbent. I mean, this race, regardless of what you spend, and we're seeing this around the state, you see this around the country, it's going to be up to the voters to decide, based on the turnouts that we all know are probably rather modest this evening, as to who is going to lead that district next. But it's finite to that area. I would not call it a point in the Republican Party nationally or even statewide or locally. It's a fight within the district as to who's the best person for that very large and diverse district.
And Lon Johnson, conversely, if we look at the race in which Congressman Conyers is trying to get reelected, which would put him in a historical position with John Dingell retiring, he's being challenged also within the Democratic Party by Reverend Sheffield. No one came out stronger for President Obama in the last election than John Conyers, and was one of his early supporters. If he turns out to lose, is this a referendum not on just John Conyers, but on the president and the president's policies?
Congressman Conyers will be coming out. We're coming out with this primary very strong. Every year he takes on a primary typically. This is very different. In the Republican Party right now, we've got 3 sitting congressmen with Tea Party challengers and that are showing well. Kerry Bentifolio, he said, who basically called him an accident congressman, is being challenged by Trott. Ellis is challenging Amash, and Arcane is challenging Benishek up in the first district. These are 3 very strong challenges that we're seeing at the congressional level. The Tea Party is moving in this party, and we're not seeing, we're seeing a party that's at civil war with itself. Conversely, at the Democratic side, we're united and we're ready for victory this
And as we continue with majorities in the House, the Senate, and in the U.S. House, and likely the United States Senate, I wouldn't call that a fissure at all in the Republican Party.
Well, and to that end, speak to that whole Tea Party. I mean, how active is the Tea Party? How divisive? Is this a real issue, or is this more of a talking point at this point, do you think?
The Tea Party folks are engaged conservatives, Republicans that vote Republican, have for decades, and continue to vote Republican. They've challenged our country, our government, to look at our spending and our taxes and our regulation and our liberties, and are pushing all of us, I think all Americans, to think about all of those things as a rule of law, constitutionalist country. And the fact that they're aggressive in a primary or outspoken or get a little more media here versus there, that's not what's relevant. What's relevant is they're challenging us with good ideas and good thought process to look for better ways and improve ways. And we have no problem with Republican Tea Party candidates whatsoever. Are there some that are further to right than maybe you might be or somebody else might be? Sure, that's America. That's what this is all about. It's a challenge and an opportunity for folks to express ideas, and we welcome that in our party.
All right, very good. Bobby Shostak, Chair of the Michigan Republican Party. Lon Johnson, Chair of the Michigan Democratic Party. Thank you for coming in and agreeing on everything.
It's going to be an interesting next few months,
We're
certainly.
getting you warmed up for November.
With an eye toward
Ready to go.
November. We'll look
Ready
forward
to
to
go.
having
All
both
right,
of you gentlemen back at that time.
You both are for
Thank you so
Proposal
much.
1? Yes or no?
Our party's neutral.
Okay.
And you?
Again, our party's neutral.
And
I'm
you?
the chairman of the Michigan Democratic Party.
All right, very good. That'll
Nice
start a
try.
whole nother debate.
He's a businessman. He's for it.
We'll continue this in November to be sure. Bobby and Lon, thank you very much.
All right, very good.
Yeah.